No, Lycos. You save the game. You save it. You.
You are my dad. You're my dad. Woogie, woogie, woogie.
Hello. Yes, it's true. I sleep on Wednesdays after the girls go to sleep. I sleep until I stream. But tonight, I did not, which means I may get something like 2 hours of sleep tonight. That's awkward. Save the game? No. I want you to save the game. Or I'm gonna cancel you. Is that is that the way we're gonna do tonight's theme? The sounds of the game are foobar. They sound so bad. They sound hollow and AM. Interesting. I don't know how to fix that. Do they sound AM to anyone else? Do I sound okay? They sound swimmy. Interesting. Let me see what I can do. Could be there are processing things happening to this channel that I don't know, and we'll take them out. Everything here is turned off. I sound fine, but the game sounds bad. Is that it? Is that the weirdness? The game's coming through funny. I'm looking at the game channel's processing, and it doesn't look like anything is off. We'll give it neutral here. And you tell me if it still sounds swimmy. I turned on some neutral processing components to the game audio. I'll turn it up a little bit again. It's a little quiet in my ears. Although now it sounds like it has a noise gate, which can't abide by having a noise gate on here. Take off at least the noise gate. Okay, noise gate's off. That was awful. It's like the audio source is being compressed to hell and back again and spatializing, then recompressing the soundstage, then ducking as you speak. Oh, the ducking was back. Okay. I know that ducking is related to the noise gate too. Maybe I need to turn my noise gate down. I'll try to turn the attack down a little bit. Maybe that's it. I don't know noise gates well enough. I see like 6 different nomenclatures there. And I don't know what they all mean. Yeah. Maybe I need a more adultier adult than myself to fix this. Big bully, boy, hello. Love you, motherfucker. Love you too. What's good? How's the band? How's the little? How's the lady? Tell me everything. I must know. Also, thank you for being on YouTube where we need... Do you see the... I'm sorry if you're on Instagram, you can't see this because I don't have room to place this anywhere. The rest of you on Kick, on YouTube, on Twitch, do you see how full this bar is? How crazy full? If this were a dono goal, somebody would step in like Rushdell and just fill the rest of the money. But this isn't a money goal, it's a donation of hours goal. And so you need to be watching videos on my YouTube channel to make this fill all week long, all this week. Because why this week specifically? Why from today till next Tuesday? That's a 7-day period of time. I'll tell you why. Because filling this YouTube watch hours goal will unlock the lore stream. We've talked about this so many past streams, but if this is your first stream in a while, or if this is your first time seeing the channel, that's right. We're doing a 5-hour lore of D. And if you don't know me, that might not sound enticing. So I will just say, based on what I hear from other people, my life story is interesting enough that a number of folks have asked me if I would ever write an autobiography. There's something about the way my life has gone that is intriguing to people. They like its twists and turns. And I don't say that casually because I don't deal well with direct compliments. Even if interesting life is not directly that complimentary, it could be actually rather bad. Oh, your life is really complicated and I wouldn't want it, but I want to read about yours. Maybe that's it. You will get a 5-hour stream instead of having to read a whole book, which might be better actually, because you can ask questions along the way. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be entertaining. I hope so. If it's not entertaining and my life is super boring and nobody likes it, then this stream will prove it, and I won't write the book. I will not write the autobiography. So maybe we could call this Test D's Life for Autobiography Validity Stream. Something like that. Yeah. All is good. The lady's birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday, Yeti's lady, whose name I will not talk on my stream. Do you guys have fun plans? Have you planned something fun for the lady Yeti? I hope so. Hello, Silvos. Hi, welcome. Thank you all. Honestly, this obviously for goals like this, it's going to work in a certain way. I understand human psychology. You probably get this too. When this stream goal was not on the screen, actually, I was going to say when it was only like this big, but actually I'll say even before it was on the screen, the watch hours moved on their own based on algorithm, based on the content I've released on my YouTube channel so far, based on a number of business choices I've made, and I'm pivoting and changing as I learn more about what I want to do and how to work with algorithms and commodify doing content creation so that I can at least raise a household. I'm not looking to be a shill. I'm not looking to do sponsored reads every half hour for some new brand that's trying to pay me commercial money. I'm really just trying to get a household to run on this sort of stuff. So nothing big, but it was moving at its own pace. And then when I put up the goal, the speed, the rate changed. It went faster. And as that goal, as that little orange sliver got smaller and smaller, people get more and more excited. I do. It's not just you. I'm not just making fun of you or anything. I'm just pointing something out about psychology. I get more excited the smaller that little orange sliver gets. And I think the more engaged you all get, the more excited you all get that this is essentially the final YouTube engagement milestone. From here, it's just as we grow and as I continue to become more and more entrenched in content creation, then, you know, better outcomes for Oz, better outcomes for the two crotch goblins. You know, we unlock a better life for all of them. And all you had to do was like watch for the most part. Most of you just have to watch. Some of you who contribute, thank you for the extra contributions. But I'm looking forward to an era where ad revenue and growth are enough that we don't need to pander, sell ourselves, ask for so many goals or donations, and just hopefully the flow of the business itself is sustaining the household. If we do grow past that, we have lots of other things that we'd like to unlock. True. We have stuff. Maybe I'll make a roadmap. Would that be interesting? I won't do it on the lore stream because that's a conflict of interest. You all want to know about the lore on the lore stream, but we might do a roadmap. I don't think it'll take a whole stream, but it would at least be interesting to go over what would unlock at the various phases of my careerification, if that's a word, making of a career of this work. Yeah. If your life isn't interesting enough, you can borrow mine. Between the two of us, I think we have enough life for most people, and nobody else would want more life experiences than what Yeti and what I have experienced between the two of us. Lico says, my life is a wreck. Oh, interesting. I mean, a wreck in a dramatically worthy way to share on the internet, or just tragic? You should shill for legumes. I don't even like legumes that much. If I was going to shill for anything, it would be one of my top 10 flavors of all time. Do you all do this, or is this just me? I know I overthink things. I know I really overthink things. But if you overthink things too, maybe it's not just me. Perhaps you have also considered ranking your favorite flavors of all time, whether they belong in a food, like a certain spice that you would never just like shake a spice, like a little spice canister into your mouth. You wouldn't do that. That would be gross. But you want that spice in almost every food that you eat. Or if it is a standalone food, that's fine too. So it can be an ingredient, a standalone food, a spice or a flavor. Doesn't matter. No restraints, no constraints on this. I would not make this an entire discourse. What are your favorite top flavors? Go. I'm still sick, but I've drunk some hot fluids and had some good soups and really worked to make sure that by today I had a voice, because yesterday and the day before, zero voice. Well, there's a voice, but it was like, I don't want to say who Oz and I were saying I sounded like, because it's rude to those people. They're fine people, but just a really not good voice coming out of my throat. And I had to be in certain meetings and on microphones and talking, and it wasn't a great experience. And I was really worried that by Wednesday, I don't know that my voice would have come back, but it did. It did. We did some significant care regimen, and it's not fully back. It's just I can talk into a mic and you can hear me. You obviously hear some texture that's not there normally if you've been on my streams regularly. Whatever I caught from the little...
What's wrong, Doug?
Thank you, Silvos.
I'm right as the mail.
without water. I didn't grab my water, and there's reasons why, but I will. I'll finish my line of thought, and then I will go grab water so I can do the triple self-care. But I'll do the other parts of the triple self-care while I don't have my water. Yeah, taking care of the little was way worse than I ever thought it would be. She was really cuddly, really needed something. And I'm her favorite person when she's feeling really under the weather. Luckily, the tiny generally prefers Oz, and the little generally prefers me. So they're not like both trying to get me sick. But I've been, over the course of being a father, coughed into the eyeballs and snots shoved up against me and my clothes, or I've tried to take care of them. The tiny had a booger in her eyebrow today that I plucked out. Kids are awful and nasty, and if you can make it unscathed, which I did for a long time, actually cuddling the little, I did day in and day out without getting sick. I was very happy and proud of my immune system, but I kept rolling those dice and then I did get sick. Yeah. I shill for waifus. I could shill for waifus. They'd have to pass Oz's muster though. If we adopt a waifu, it has to be a waifu for both of us, not just me. That's how this household works. What are you saying lemon for, Yeti? Best way I can put it in one sentence: only time I was out of the country, I was rushed to the hospital after my dad beat the shit out of me. Lycos. Yikes. That's awful. From there, you can extrapolate how the rest went. Are you in a safe distance from said father figure now? Or lack of father figure? Oh, your favorite flavor, lemon. Lemon is not in my top 10. However, lime is. There is something about lime that does something for me that lemon does not. I could squirt lime on anything. And if you were in my Discord and you saw, God, I must have posted it in Sloth, it showed exactly how much I love lime. I wish I could find a similar video or GIF for all the other flavors that are in my top 10. Lime's in your top 2? Okay, so lemon and lime are number 1 and number 2. It's good to laugh again, to be able to do a belly laugh and have it not sound like a pterodactyl. That's nice. That's nice. You rebuilt the relationship? Interesting. Do you think it was worth it? I believe in forgiveness. I believe in forgiveness too. I just wonder if it was worth it. But we definitely have ground rules. I respect that. I respect that. Yeah, there are reasons why I have glasses on, and lighting's different. The camera angle may be a little bit different. Actually, I may adjust that. Adjust the camera angle, work on these. My hair is still how my girls combed it. They wanted me to look like a superhero. I don't know if the way that the swerve goes particularly looks Clark Kent or not. I might futz with my hair. Camera angle, hair, glasses, and the water so I can finish the triple self-care. Let me go do those things in a BRB screen, and I will BRB.
Just go ahead.
Shoot it right in the...
Take the shot.
Right in the tit.
Take it. I want you to do it.
I shoot you right in the left tit.
There, do it.
Wait.
Oh,
He missed.
ducked. He ducked.
You duck? It's still coming out of your mouth.
What?
How can I, an inanimate object, create animate objects? Ah, the old Tootsie Roll question. Oz is my wife, life partner, mother of my 2 crotch groblins. Groblins? I'm just gonna roll with it. Like that wasn't a typo from the mouth. Welcome. Tell me you don't love it too. That's why you keep buying it. It's so good.
This just proves that people steady watch your shit, man. It's not easy to get 10,000 channel points. And I know that because even the people who view my shit the most struggle to spend that many channel points.
Godbert too. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you're so fun. I want to make like a baby and spend 9 months inside you. What the? Lovely. Yeti, is there anything that when you are with somebody or sharing a household with someone, you insist on doing because you think it is a role that you absolutely need personally to take on?
Besides making porn.
Uh-oh.
I do that.
$135. Thank you for your contribution to the Book of Crow and the religion.
What's their name?
Book of Crow.
I'm sorry, what?
Book of Crow, you say?
Rose Thompson.
Yes.
Yeah, Book of Crow. Have you read it?
I have not. I'm very, very new to this area.
Ah.
Are you a woman of God?
I'm sorry?
Are you a woman of God?
I was raised to be, yes.
Yeah, it's looking pretty
We
bad
are men
for
and
us.
women of Lucifer. So, I want you to give that book a look after we leave. And if you want to find us, we will be in Annesburg if you have any questions.
They're in Annesburg. Interesting.
That's true.
Is this the path?
This is the way.
Well, I'd like to thank you all for... Yes!
I saw you coming and I was like, what is that?
What a wonderful way to end it all. Look at all those umbilical cords. All at once. How glorious.
All right, jaw. I feel like it's a little bit broader. Oh, this is pretty good. That's pretty good. Again, we're not just going to sit here and micromanage. We just need it a little bit wider in the jaw hinge bone. Oh, Mary broke Gus Gus? Oh, Mary. I will sign this petition. What? Jeez. Ears? I don't think ears are going to matter too much.
I need to take my night pills.
You need to do
You've
the
been
human.
drinking. That's a bad idea.
Doing your humaning.
I'm no longer inebriated. I am prepared to consume the pills.
You're prepared to what now? Okay, I'm back. Oh no, I messed up everything. Okay, hang on momentarily. I moved the camera down so that it would be a better angle. But it's completely cutting off my hair, which accentuates the 5 head. We can't accentuate the 5 head by this much. So give me... Oh. Maybe this will be better. Let me have a seat. Ugh. I sit in a high chair at a high desk with a very high camera. So everything's very high. I can see my hair. It decidedly still looks how the girls decided. One of them said when they were doing my hair before they went to bed that they wanted me to look as cool as a superhero. I think they were going for Clark Kent, but I do not have Clark Kentish hair. I put my monovision contacts in. If you're hearing monovision for the first time, go Google that term right now. You'll be interested to learn what that is. Yeah. Lico says, just got back from visiting him for 2 weeks. Was a lot of fun. Oh, that's really nice to hear. Hopefully it was a positive reconcilement. I have made a similar reconcilement that ended very negative. So I hope yours is very positive and continues to be so. I think I need to be more here for the Instagram stream. Silvos, I can't thank you enough because you made me realize I was missing my water before Akumu arrived, because she would let me have it if I did not have my water in time. Yes. Tonight we're discussing, I feel like I lived a lifetime between the time I hit start stream and this moment right now. Tonight we're discussing the concept of cancel culture boycotting. Famous people, brands, intellectual properties for the sake of what they've done. Oh, thank you, Likos, for another triple self-care. I will gladly take you up on that. Appreciate your face. We'll be discussing the idea behind what cancel culture is, how it should be applied, who it should be applied to, and what sort of constraints, restraints, pros, cons, the whole shebang. So I'd love for your opinions on the matter. This man still hasn't saved the game. It says updating online status to away from keyboard. That to me sounds like a save, possibly. I think we've saved the game. Reported for self. No. Please don't get me. What is it? What do they do when like EMT come knock on your door? Is it called like a health check? I've never had one, so I'm trying to guess at the terms, but I've heard of the concept. I think it's called a health check or something of the sort. Somebody professional comes and they check on you and see just how it was, how you were doing. Somebody reported that there could be a potential for some sort of problem that they need to react in that regard. Sometimes police come instead of EMT. Oh, that's scary. What do they know about helping people down from that kind of stuff? I think that would escalate the situation. That's the one, health and wellness check. Yes, it's never happened to me. I don't particularly want it to ever, but I also hope I never step into a place where that's needed. If it is, I mean, I wonder if being a live streamer, especially across 4 separate platforms, if you all could, during a live conversation, step in and call somebody and be like, hey, we don't know where he lives, but your police or law enforcement or EMT or whatever, surely you could find this out. Can you go and learn this information? Go find Damien and go check up on him. Break through windows if you have to and see how he's doing. Perhaps. The police are super nice about it, actually. Guess that depends on your precinct. Now, with the police in our city, in the city that we live near, seem to be pretty nice folk for the most part. At least out here they are. Good. I've lived in places where I've had some nice police. I've never met like bad police per se. The only thing I've met are lazy police. I used to work in a coastal town in Southern California. City, probably should say, not town. Nowhere on the coast in California is it like small enough to be called a town, because coasts are beautiful over there. So they're sprawling large cities. I used to used to work in a city there after a long commute to get there. And I served policemen among other clientele. And the policemen that I served in that coastal town, they said, literally, crime does not happen here. It just does not happen. We can run around and like accrue money from speeding tickets, or from parking meter violations, or from parking in like a red curb area or something of the sort. Like, they can make revenue to support their police department, but they don't actually do crime enforcement or law enforcement against crime. Like actual, I don't know. I guess all of those are crimes in their own regard, in that they are breaking a law. But I guess they don't come engaged in contact with hostile criminals. So they said you cut your teeth somewhere else, like a big city where the crime rate's high and there's a lot of problems and bar fights and domestic violence and all that kind of stuff. And then you go to one of these coastal cities to retire before you retire. So they basically earn a paycheck by driving their police cruisers around, go to various shops, get freebie food and drinks because the shops all do that kind of stuff for their cops, and spend very little time actually enforcing law. They just cruise around. They chat with each other. They chat with business owners. They're around, so it looks like they're keeping the peace as a sort. But if they weren't around, it wouldn't get violent. You know what I mean? Yeah. You could try contacting the local PD and explaining the possibility of that happening to them. If you have had the foresight to do that, and it usually mitigates the risk. Interesting. Yeah, maybe. It wasn't in Eureka. Eureka's in Northern California, isn't it? I was in Southern California, just on the, just outside of LA County. There's a lot of coastal areas that are just full of like yuppies, right-leaning nouveau riche, and just like big money. There's a lot of young teens and 20s kids just suffering from the ennui of living in suburbia and having no real requirements thrust upon them. They don't have to work if they don't want to. If they want to start a business or do something, they can. If they don't, that's fine. They can just live with their parents as a trust fund baby. And there's no crime. There's nothing going on. The cops don't do anything except drive around so that they can show that they've got miles under their belt every day. And they said as much. This isn't me I should say, I am not making a critical analysis on Southern California coastal police officer culture. I don't know it. I didn't work it. I don't have assessments or ideology guiding me. I don't feel one way or another about police officers. I think police officers are all individuals, and you cannot label them all by one label, such as bastard, because you don't know every single cop and their motivations for joining the force. But I do know the people I talked to that came to the shop that I used to work at that told me what they felt about their precinct, that it was useless, boring, but a great way to keep earning a paycheck if you weren't ready to retire yet and you wanted to keep investing in your 401k and you liked driving around and getting free food and drinks all day and not actually doing any law enforcement except to make money, by the end of each month. If they needed to go out and do a speed trap or try to write parking tickets or whatever, they could do that. Yeah. The towns are closer to the foothills that is close to the Oregon border. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought Eureka was kind of close to Northern California somewhere. I hate that the whole all cops are bastards bullshit caught on. It's one of those things that I find so diminishing. Is that the right word? That might not be the right word. It's so demeaning is not the right term either. I'm thinking of a term where you reduce. It's reductive. That's probably a good word. Instead of looking for a D word, I'll just go with reductive. Very reductive thinking, and I expect this of conservatives in America. I expect conservatives to say all Protestant Christians have these ideals and values. All people who are not Protestant Christian or people of color or who believe in DEI, anybody who has blue hair, they all have these values. And I expect that from the right. It was surprising that in the last 10 years or so, 15 years, to see the left become so reductionist as well and say, here's what I think all cops are. Here's what I think all Latinx people have experienced. Here's what I think all people of color and indigenous birth have experienced. And it's just like, that's not fucking true. It's impossible for you to lump people together like in a monolith way like that. It's so rude. It's so othering, and I don't appreciate when either side does it. Nobody in our groups we're not capable. We don't live in an era where social cohesion is high anymore. So you could never look at two people who live in the same socioeconomic status, maybe even grew up with the same parents, grew up went to the same schools, even maybe picked the same major. You can't make other overarching decisions about who they are and be right. You're going to be wrong as often as you are right. You're just making guesses. Those kind of predictions are rude and reductive. Yeah. Hey, Kitty Trouble Games. Long time no see. I think cancel culture is dumb. Sorry, I'm still getting over being sick, so I'm still a little bit sniffly and gravelly voice. I'm tempted to agree with you. I'm tempted to agree. Cancel culture has its place, but I do think it's gone too far. People like Andrew Tate shouldn't be given a platform and should be canceled everywhere they go. But so many innocent people get canceled just for having a slightly different opinion now. Andrew Tate's a great example. For those of you that don't know who Andrew Tate is, do I have a browser open? Of course I do. There we go. Andrew Tate. Can we get like a Wikipedia on him? Because I really don't trust any other source on the guy. And do like one of these. Browser source. Oh, it's not opening in my other... Why is this below my... Oh, it's below my webcam because my webcam is so high up. Hang on, I have to change that. Ba-doop. There we go. Okay, cool. We can see him on both streams. So this guy, very famous for creating sort of the concept of alpha, sort of toxic masculinity mentorship in the future. He obviously didn't create the alpha male mindset. That was something that was well above and beyond in sort of a meta concept far greater than his own reaches. But he started off as a kickboxer. I think he's retired from that entirely. He's 37 now, so he's kind of maybe past prime for all of that. I say that like that's so old. Does he have gray hairs too? I have gray hairs, but I think I only have gray hairs because I had kids. My hair was not wanting to turn gray at all. I watched friends of mine, their hair starting to turn gray, maybe even in their 20s. Some of them even in their early 20s. And a lot of them, when they had kids, started to turn gray. My hair didn't turn gray until I started to have kids too. And I was like, oh, damn, that really does something to you. I think, honestly, it's not the kids per se. It's the sleep deprivation that might create gray hairs. But yeah, I personally, I like that this guy gets his word out and that people hear the sort of rhetoric he has to say. But I wish two things. One is that children or minors do not have access to that sort of mentality because they can't make discernments on the accuracy of the claims that this guy makes. And two, I think if he breaks a term of service anywhere, he doesn't, by means of celebrity or money or any other methodology, get to skirt those terms of service. In other words, I think we've seen it a number of times, even on every single platform that I'm currently streaming on. We see concessions being made. Oh, this person misstepped. They've said something really bad and awkward about LGBT people. They said something really odd and awkward about a political party or about an advocacy group or they've made some big misinformation, right? They've said something really rude or very wrong, but they're making us so much money. And so they apply their TOS, but they apply it asymmetrically depending on how big you are. You're low, you're small fry, you're low on the totem pole, they'll go ahead and ban your account or suspend it for a month or whatever. But these high level people, they usually have an agent that's their liaison to the company. Like Twitch will have, you'll have somebody who's like your point of contact with Twitch, and you'll come to an agreement of some sort. Maybe you make a statement online, or you say something in some way, or you review the footage together. Okay, 3 days ban, and then you can come back. This is not the same sort of thing. So I think Tate should honestly be held to real terms of service everywhere. If he breaks that shit, which he's liable to do, then he has to go find somewhere else to skulk and sell his snake oil. But the reason why I like that he can be heard and can be seen is because the world needs to see. Oh shoot, I turned off the wrong thing. The world needs to see people like him, that they exist, that ideology exists, that people of that mentality are trying to make a business, and that other people of that mentality crawl to folks like Tate to seek out that mentorship. Because that's a real problem, that if we ignore or hide because we cancel them, we won't know how to fix it. If there are real incels out there that believe that this alpha male self-help guru sort of work, it will actually get them the lifestyle that they want, we need to find them and offer them more realistic solutions, not mitigate them away. You know what I mean? Let me catch up with chat because it's been a long time. I talked a lot. Jim says, in my limited experience, both mainstream party sides are just the same things and beliefs happening at different speeds. I agree. I see everything on the left echoing on the right eventually in time, right? It just takes the right more time because they're the protectors of tradition, the protectors of the historicity or the tried and true methodology, and will move slower. But they eventually do change with time too. Conservatives don't just ossify in like the 1780s and say that's the peak of all humanity and we won't move from there, right? They both move at some point. Ironically, the fringe belief, people I met aren't as likely to lump like that. Interesting. Yeah, fringe folk can be really radical and weird. Unfortunately, they get the most attention, but it's unfortunate because they're not really indicative of the majority of the population. But you'll still hear rhetoric of people saying, well, did you hear what that one senator said, or what this one person from this hate group said? Can you believe it? Like, people actually think that way. But those are conflations, right? To hear one person say, I think everybody of this sort of political status or socioeconomic status or ethnic background should be murdered or extracted from the country or mitigated in some way, or they shouldn't be able to whatever, marry or something. Whatever that crazy fringe belief is, if you hear it from one person, a lot of radicals on both sides will say, do you hear that one person? That's how people think. It's not. It's how that one person thinks. Maybe somebody even agrees with them, but just to agree with somebody making that statement still isn't the same thing as that other person also purports that view. They could just be agreeable, or they could just be caught up in the moment. The conflation of things is crazy. High endangerment. It's good to see you existing. Thing is, kids are always going to find ways to see things they probably shouldn't. My folks grew up before the internet and they still found lots of stuff by just asking around. True. Internet does make it easier, but it also makes it harder because it's harder to fact check and know your sourcing well. You can still do it. You just have to be a lot more scrupulous, right? You can't just decide I'm gonna watch this one internet pundit, and he's gonna or she's gonna say everything that is true. She has no bias or motivations whatsoever, and I believe everything from that one person. No, it's like actually do your research, actually find primary sources. Don't just find some personality that you find entertaining and decide that they're going to be your source of truth. They all have their own motivations too, right? Yeah. I know who he is. I got confused by it earlier when I went to the bathroom. I couldn't tell the difference between him and what went in the toilet. Cute. I don't agree with J.K. Rowling's anti-trans opinions, but I like Harry Potter, so I'll not boycott Harry Potter because of it. There have been a couple content creators I can recall, which I am not going to boycott. I just think the whole thing is out of hand. Right. And that was a big thing, not only with Rowling, but also with like anybody who played what was the Harry Potter universe game that came out some point last year, or maybe it was this year, and like a bunch of streamers played it, some of which don't even know anything about Rowling's political stance on trans people, and somebody would step in and chat and say something about it, like, oh, hey, did you know Rowling is incredibly anti-trans, blah, 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 blah. And they took that as, I have informed this streamer. The streamer is continuing to play this game, and therefore, because I have informed them continue to play this game, they are anti-trans. That's not realistic, right? People don't read a line in their chat while they're streaming and make a deep invested decision about what they're going to stream based on that chat. That's not enough. And it's maybe not even enough for them to, when they quit streaming, go and do research to see if they're making the right decision by streaming that game. I didn't stream that game, but I just have some more business sense. To me, it was a business ideology. Should I stream a Rowling game, a Rowling IP based game, or that actually didn't they say it had a trans character in it? Or should I just not? And I just didn't. Although it's also not my brand. My brand really is what we're doing here, which is even-handedly discussing the concepts, being empathetic about both sides, understanding the rationale behind people who oppose us and why they say or believe the things that they do. That's why we exist here, to disrupt the status quo, right? That's why I go by the term disruptor. But yeah, completely out of hand. And I've heard a number of people take what I feel is a very even-handed stance on people like J.K. Rowling. And that is to say, when I found out about her, I did not want to consume further material from her and promote the later version of her. But before I knew her, the Harry Potter books, I'm quoting a make-believe person. This isn't me specifically, but I believe that the Harry Potter books were endemic to my identity and my upbringing, and they are a part of me, and they're related to me from a Rowling that was not problematic. And so I do not put the lens on that era of her. Even if there were nascent ideas of anti-trans going on in her mind at that time, I do not acquiesce in that way. That I've heard a number of people say. I think that would be rather fair, a rather fair way to address the situation. I'm personally not, haven't developed my own strategy of this yet, and that's why I thought this would be a good conversation to have, because I have not decided here is my policy going forward. Rather, I'm open to interpretation, and therefore this should be an interesting conversation because I'm not ossified in this, and I think weighing all possibilities is worth discussing, right? Yeah. That's the kind of cancel culture I don't like. There was some stuff with Ezra Miller in the Flash movie. I'm not going to go I'm not going to not see the Flash movie because of that. Same with that Depp versus Heard drama. If you watch the Depp versus Heard footage, from what we've seen, there were awards granted to both sides. Now, did Hurd end up having to spend more money toward the Depp estate than the Depp estate paid toward the Hurd estate or the parties or whatever? Yes, there was a monetary asymmetry there, but there were still damages award to Ms. Hurd, and therefore Johnny Depp was no saint. He wasn't the good guy. He wasn't the victor. He wasn't the person who did everything right and was victimized and abused and tried his best all the time and was always making good choices, and we should rally behind him. We just had two bad actors, literal actors, one of whom was way worse in severity, but there wasn't a person to rally behind. There wasn't a personality or a subset of values or virtues that we would say, well, I would like to absorb these or support these. There are two unsupportive stances, one far worse than the other. So I don't think there's anything necessarily to react in that particular regard. Let's ban this likely ban evader. Perf. I'm fine with ousting really bad people like Andrew Tate, but enforcing boycotts and canceling anyone who doesn't follow your boycott is dumb. That's also a good point too, right? The idea of whether or not you could stay engaged with somebody else's content, their personality, or even engage with them as a human being, depending on what they've done or not done. I'm of the sort of mentality that tends to forgive people who have done bad things. I will still keep distance if I feel they're also dangerous. If they've done something that is really nasty but is not harmful to me or my direct family, Oz and the girls, I can still close the gap and forgive them. If they also feel like they could be dangerous to one of my family members, I will probably forgive them, but maintain safety, maintain a safe distance, a safe space. And that could also involve a boycotting or canceling of some sort personally, just to avoid or remove myself from the potential to be harmed. And with Andrew Tate, that would be a great example. If I had boys, for especially a great example, but I think also my girls, I wouldn't want my girls to hear what Andrew Tate and his brother say about women, because I want their mentality of women to be defined by right now their parents, me and Oz, and in the future really by them. I want them to self-determine. I don't want them to accept the constraints of what society or another person external to them may sell them about who outsiders think they should be or where they should go. I really want them to be able to imagine that path themselves, and for us to enable them and help guide them from pitfalls. And so in that regard, I would cancel somebody like Tate, because he would navigate them in a negative and dangerous way. Whereas somebody else who's just problematic in their immediacy or their direct engagements, like they're rude to people on set and they fling slurs to certain people. Well, I don't work with that person. My kids aren't working with that person. I'm not going to cancel them based on what a nasty person they are external to us in our lives. Yeah. Here for gaining my streak? Of course you are. Of course you would do that. If you don't want to enjoy some media or something for personal beliefs, by all means, don't engage with it, but also don't force that down another's throat. That's also a good point too, right? It's like a religion or other ideology. It's fine to adopt a certain path or a certain behavior if you think it's going to be protective of you and your virtues and morals and how you want to live your life, how you want to perceive yourself. But to say, I demand this of somebody else, or else we are no longer relatives, we're no longer friends, I will no longer follow you or listen to your your words or engage in anything that you do productively in society because you have a loose correlation with something I don't like. That's a very caustic and dangerous way to thrust your beliefs on another person. Ooh, I just got my voice back this afternoon and I'm working it so hard tonight. We have 4 more hours of show. We'll see if it lasts or if I start squeaking like a kid going through puberty. Yeah. Normally I'd agree, but her responses was that the money she made off the franchise went to further the goals of groups she donates to. You can't separate the art from the artist in the case because she's tying them together. That is interesting. Although, so I've heard this argument before and I've mixed feelings about it. I know some people that they will give money to homeless people, even at the criticism that some people will say, if you don't give them food, if you don't give them toothbrushes and supplies and things that have just a direct, unique use, if you give them money, they're going to go buy vices, their alcohol or drugs or whatever it is that they're into. They're going to use your money for bad things. It's your onus to give them something that limits what they do with it. And you could say that that same argument extends to bad creators out there, bad creatives, that if they say, well, I'm going to go fund anti-trans or anti-LGBT or anti-whatever things with the money that you raise for me and my brands, then maybe the onus is on you as to whether you give or don't give that money to that person. I would argue that your money was never a direct relationship to those things that they swear, or in the case of Rowling, that she swears she's going to give to certain groups, certain hate groups, right? Your money is in direct exchange for a service or a product. That is generally some creative content, a book, a movie, something that was involved in the creative space that person engaged in. Once the money is exchanged, that money is not your money going to the group. You're not making that decision at that point. The creative is making the decision at that point to take your money and routing it somewhere else. It's their money that they're spending on hate groups. It's not your money. Your money was spent only in the transaction to get the intellectual property or the creative material, right? That's not necessarily going to win everybody over. Some people might not like that concept, but it is one that I've heard purported, similar to if I give $20 to a bum and then they go buy alcohol, I gave them a means to help themselves. They misused the funds. I didn't misuse the funds, right? She got a lump sum up front for the game. You buying it doesn't make her a single cent extra. Interesting. So she gets no royalties on that game. That's interesting. I mean, the game, I meant the IP in general. All you're doing is hurting the devs that tried to distance themselves from her and add in trans advocacy into the game. That's another interesting point too, right? So when you boycott a product, especially if it's a complex product, you are boycotting more than a creative. A creative might be paid out either a lump sum in the case of this particular game. They might be paid in some royalty structure. They're making some percentage of either a flat deal or a recurring royalties based deal, but they are not the exclusive person damaged by a cancel or a boycott. You have many wage earners that are involved in the situation. In the case of games, you've got people who are just doing dev for games, right? They didn't choose this project. Somebody that was probably a C-level executive has brokered a deal to take on the IP for J.K. Rowling and bring it into the studio. But you, as the art design, as the dialogue writer, as the game mapper, as the whatever it happens to be that you do for a game development company or a movie or a TV show, and then you have a bad actor, somebody really potentially negative like Kevin Spacey, right, who has particularly heinous allegations thrust upon him, and you say, I will never watch anything Kevin Spacey was in. He's never been in anything that's a one-man show that he filmed himself, that he wrote himself. So you're also canceling scores of people's income who did the writing, who did the cinematography, who actually did the set design or wardrobe, all the other actors involved that may be upstanding people. You're affecting a lot more people in one broad swath because of one thing that you disagree with. You're taking neurosurgery and you're applying a sledgehammer to it, I think. Recently, the argument is completely about the game, so I just defaulted to that. Am I lagging or is the stream lagging? Let me know. Let me know if you feel like one is lagging or the other. I'm lagging in stream chat. Right now I have 6 after the hour, but I'm reading stuff that's 10 before the hour. So that's just me trying to catch up to chat. I got threatened by some friends that if I picked up the game, they'd block me. Wow. Yeah, I've heard a lot of negative things specifically about, I don't even remember what it was called, but the Hogwarts Academy, whatever. The one game with J.K. Rowling content in it that a bunch of people played, maybe completely unknowing of the controversy that they were facing. Right. I didn't pick it up because I was busy as fuck and broke as fuck, but holy hell. I'm not even particularly a Harry Potter Hogwarts like diehard fan. So the game didn't ping on my radar as something that I absolutely have to pick up. I just was interested in how many people decided to stream it and then what happened as an aftermath for those people. That was particularly fascinating to me. So it gathered my attention, even if I wouldn't have necessarily sought out the game myself. Completely unprompted, they were going around threatening friends of theirs. They can just fuck right off at that point. Honestly, if we're talking about friends, if you can't have an open conversation about how you feel and ask your friends about how they feel and get into a dialogue where you can come up with some sort of consensus or an understanding of each other, you're probably too polarized, you're probably too radicalized to be a good friend. Any friend, if you're really trying to be a good friend to other people and you demand that they cohere to your ideology or support your value systems, that's awfully draconian. And honestly, it's going to keep you away from so many experiences where you're going to learn other motivations, other ethic standards, and other reasons for people to be motivated to do the things that they do. Because not everything is motivated by an internal sense of very clear, defined justice, right? A lot of people are motivated by very different values and variables than that. How will you learn all of that if you excise all of those people from your life? You will become stunted and you will live in an echo chamber as a result. All her shit, she says, is recent. I got no qualms with liking her stuff from before that all. So I already bought the movies, already bought the books. Yeah, and you did those things unknowing, right? Would I fault my mom? I'm going to do one lore thing, but I promise to keep the lore to a minimum because you guys have almost filled this shit. So if you fill this shit in the next week, next Wednesday is going to be the lore stream. I will plan for it. I'll have an agenda. I'll have talking points. I will go by timers. We'll get through my entire life in 5 hours. I promise. It's not going to be everything, but it's going to be a lot. And I'll try to keep the lore to a minimum. But I'll say this one thing. My mom, at one point when I was really little, I had a really bad ear infection. It lasted for a long time. We were not the family with medical support, medical insurance, money to go see a doctor, money to go buy antibiotics, money to even get a diagnosis to get those antibiotics in the first place. None of that. So my mom turned to a method that some people have tried before in the past. It's kind of like brujeria, a little bit of witchcraft sort of thing. But she did ear candling. If any of you ever heard of it? Haven't heard of ear candling? Go Google it. She did it. She did it with newspaper and matches and this whole weird situation. It didn't work. It didn't help me at all. I just survived the ear infection on my own without any help. I wonder if that has something to do with what's going on with my left ear today. But it happened, and she did the best she could at the time. Do I fault her and say she should have known better? She should have acted better? No. If somebody bought all the Harry Potter books and then later on found out how anti-trans J.K. Rowling was, am I going to tell that person you need to go burn your books now? No, that person acted from a different time. Yeah, different understanding. I heard there's going to be a new Harry Potter TV show, and I will want to watch it if it's good. I'm interested. I didn't know they were planning on a TV show. I cannot save this game. I love your face. This game does not save. You don't even know what's on in the background. Some of you might. Some of you recognize the music that's playing in the background. But many of you don't know what's going on back there. We haven't even moved over to that yet. We're just having a good conversation. Good night. Oops, there's no game. I mean, there's the game of life. Are you already going to sleep? Is it already time for you? See, I don't trust endangerment when they say good night, because endangerment will say good night. Thank you for the self-care. Likos. Endangerment will say good night, and then for 45 minutes later, we'll interject random chats to prove to me that they haven't gone to sleep. Aliko says, at the end of the day, the way I personally work about counterculture is I just don't have enough capacity to care about everything that I consume. So I kind of just don't care to a large extent. That's true too. It's the onus to learn about everything that's happening around your world. You know, do you go to every shop when you need to buy a new shirt or a new pair of shoes? And do you check the brands for human rights violations, supply chain integrity? Are they not using sweatshop labor? Are they not using child labor? Are they doing everything on the up and up? What's going on with the brand? And then do you make informed decisions? Do you leave and make notes about one company? Do you check back with them in 5 years to see if they've fixed their operations or, you know, had some change of management so things are going better now? Most people just buy what they can buy, get what you can afford, enjoy the media that you can. And the amount of homework involved in all of that other stuff is just, it's too much for many people. For many people, it is far too much to ask them do all of this extra extraneous work so that you understand what's proper and what's not proper as to where you should throw your money or not. Yeah. I won't watch certain people and I won't engage with some products because I don't like what they do, but I can't do that with everything I'm into or I'd have nothing. That's true too. I've mentioned this a number of times with, one sec, getting a message from a friendo. I've mentioned this about the music industry. Musicians are awful people. I say that as obviously a slur and slander across many people that are actually doing great things with their lives and are very positive people. So I kind of joking, tongue in cheek sort of thing. But when I was a working musician in Southern California, I often said, I love being a musician, but I hate meeting and interacting with other musicians. So I enjoyed the act of creating music, but I hated who else was brought into the industry, the type of person that would be engaged with writing music. I don't know why it is. They tended to be really narcissistic, poisonous, evil, awful people, bad, selfish, hedonistic, drug addled or other vice induced, just awful garbage people. But their music is so good. If I only listened to people that were very positive humans that did good for the rest of the world around them, unfortunately, the people that inject a lot of goodness around them write boring music by and large. Now, there are going to be counterexamples on both sides. There are going to be some dark musicians, some people who write pained, pathos-inducing, very deep and very nuanced songs or genres of music that are also great people and really contribute to the world. And there are probably some pop people out there, people that write sweet love songs and great things out there that are also pained, hedonistic, awful people at their core. But by and large, the wholesome people write boring as shit music that I'm super disinterested in. That's too easy. It's too basic. There's very little creativity involved. It's just a cash cow. But the people who are involved in much more artistic, deep music tend to be assholes or substance abuse or something else, just awful people. Yeah. If I cut all of the bad people out of my music listening, I would have no interesting music to listen to. Yeah. If we actually had to care about everything, none of us would have a computer, batteries, the internet, our houses, our jobs, our clothing, our food, etc. True? Right now, my things I care mostly relate mostly to extremism, very much in that same vein. I think that's why we're both here. At the end of the day, something like Harry Potter has a ton more people involved in it as well. True. It's definitely grown well past one anti-trans bitter lady and turned into something that is producing a career for a lot of other people, right? So if I pay $60 for a Harry Potter game, Rowling is probably only getting maybe a single dollar out of it. So if I do more than a single dollar's worth of good in the exchange, then shit kind of just equalizes out anyways. It's an interesting thought. I wonder if we could commodify or codify maybe in the future as we start to get big data. Do you think we could create a scenario in which we learn, here's the profit share for this product. You pay $60 for something, and here's where all the percentages go. Here are the social credit scores for the people who are involved in that particular project. And so the percolation of people who are more into philanthropy, progressivism, helping out other people, big empathy, big help to the rest of the world, they get a majority of the money, and the people who are detracting from society, promoting the hate groups, creating an ossification of society, those people get less. So, here's the score of what buying this game is. It's like a net, negative or net positive, depending on how many people get what kind of money. That would be a major surveillance state sort of bullshit, but at the same time, it'd be kind of interesting. It would certainly take the onus off of our backs to do the kind of research, keep up with that kind of stuff, and make our own judicious decisions all the time. You could just look at the score. I mean, it'd just be like calorie counting on the back of a box. Oh, this thing has 600 calories. It's like one bite. Well, I'm not going to buy that. Oh, this thing has a negative, 15 credit score. Well, I'm not going to be promoting, terrorism and hate groups just for buying this. I'm not going to get this. You're hurting everyone in the game industry or the movie industry, etc. that's worked on it. That's true. I might have a little bit jaded as I had anti-trans friends who are no longer friends talk to me about how much money she made and where it all went. Ugh. It's a very complex issue I have very strong feelings on due to family/friends who have actively been hurt by groups that she funded. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely when you're impacted directly by somebody, you want to do maybe everything that you can, including encouraging other people to try to sway less money in that person's direction or more social ramifications for their bad decisions so that you can try to gut some of their impact. I can understand that, absolutely. My cousin is trans. MTF, as you know, is the one that Rowling is expressly against. Yeah. I'll fully support someone not wanting to support anything J.K. Rowling has had anything to do with, but holy hell, some people get way too aggressive towards others from it. It's it's a hard decision to make. Obviously, nobody making that decision for themselves makes it a hard decision, right? If you decide whether to buy or not buy somebody's goods, if you decide whether to support or not support a specific creative out there, that's an easy decision. It's your money, it's your ideology. Once it comes to relating to other people and making decisions for them, not that you can make decisions for them about where their money goes. Hey, welcome to the YouTube side of things, Silvos. Appreciate you contributing to that watch hours goal. That's where things get a little bit dicey, because you're creating a coercion upon somebody potentially that could be particularly aggressive and perceived really bad. If you tell somebody, we will not be relatives, we will not be friends, we will not date anymore, or whatever it happens to be, if you decide to fund money towards something that I disagree with, that's an incredible level of control over somebody else's life. If you feel so strongly about that, maybe you want to hold that person to those standards, but now you are in immense control over somebody else's life, and you're either that or you're making some big social constructivist changes to who your friend base is, who your closest family is, based on choices that they might make at a far less level of gravity than you feel about the subject. You can try to make them feel that level of gravity as you do, and maybe you can convince them one way or the other. But if they're still inconvincible, I would wager 9 times out of 10, people who are unconvincible about whether or not to spend money on a game or a movie or music, it's generally not because they feel so strongly in the opposite direction. I do have some family who is particularly like anti certain human rights, and Oz and I have our own feeling about how we want to relate to those people in the future, right? But the vast majority of people are gonna buck against your strong ideas about where they should spend their money because they just don't have that level of care or empathy. And you can't, it's really hard to impart those levels of strong conviction about a cause to somebody that doesn't feel strong convictions, right? The aggression side of it is what turns people off from a cause. That's true too. Messaging does matter. If you tell somebody, you're not my fucking friend anymore if you decide in this direction, that's not necessarily a great promoter to get them to appreciate your side of things, right? There are probably better ways to convince somebody of an ideology that they're not engaged in. Hello, streamer of Oz and Raiders. Welcome on in. Where's my heart? Hi. Welcome. Hello. Welcome, Charlie. Good to see you guys. We're discussing counterculture, blacklisting, boycotting, the whole shebang, and what your methodology is, how you feel about the whole thing, all of that. Let's do a quick pause in my rant and shout out my lovely wife and mother of the crotch goblins. We'll just actually pull up a clip.
It's needle nose pliers. I'm not going to hurt myself. And if I hurt myself, it's my own fucking fault.
Can we get this on like the record here and a couple days later?
Oh, I'm glad it didn't end in actually hurting herself. I always worry that somebody clips something like that because something happened. That sounded very distant. Okay, I'll have to mess with the volume levels on that one. Thank you. I don't know how to fix all that stuff. You've said a number of things have sounded distant, warbly, through a number of filters. I'm not sure what to do. I've done a number of I've spent so many free nights just trying to QA what's going on with the stream and the roadcaster and everything. I feel like there's so many more things that still need to be done. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Background music is the same way. I don't know how to fix it. I tried to fix it earlier. If it sounds that way, it sounds that way. No idea how to fix it right now. Yeah. Okay. Katie says, I'm trans. I have strong feelings about the BS she says, but I'm just not boycotting a series I enjoy. That's a value judgment that makes sense to me, right? Somebody makes a stance about something politically, ideologically. They're combative, but they also have something that the product itself is its own assessment, and weighing the two, does the enjoyment, the engagement, and the value of what you've gotten out of engaging with their content outweigh the controversy? For some people it does. I think everybody has to weigh that themselves, and I think it's very hard to say I've made a weight assessment that I am then going to impress upon everybody else and make you believe the same way I do. If you don't believe what I do, I excise you from my life. I didn't buy it, but all the extreme reactions I was seeing kind of made me want to get it just to spite them, not gonna lie. I'm glad you didn't get that. He's talking about the Harry Potter game that got a lot of controversy, that people were saying they would blacklist every streamer who streamed that game. Yeah, I'm glad that you didn't do it, because making a decision like that and deciding that you know better than your audience will prove to you that your audience is actually king in some regards. I'm not going to say that I necessarily kowtow to what the audience that I speak to wants from me. There are certain things that I do that feed into my values, my passion, and how I want to be as a streamer, and I don't want to let somebody else be master over me in that regard. But I also have certain business sense and certain empathy that I don't want to do things that I would perceive being putting myself in somebody else's shoes, that I would perceive as an attack, as an assault or a threat, or that I'm doing specifically to hurt or disenfranchise other people's feelings on the matter. Yeah. The game that has no game. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I think my Damien stream is delayed. You all aren't delayed. I'm just having trouble catching up with chat because you're also very chatty tonight, which I freaking love. So I appreciate your face. Really, really behind. It's true. Yeah. It's not you. It's me. It's definitely me. There is no game, wrong dimension. Oh, that actually is a game. Serge Tankian is a pretty good example. A lot of his music is considered dark, I guess, but he's quite a philanthropist. Granted, I know what I've read from him. I don't know what he does in his house when the doors close. That's true. Yeah, I don't know what kind of person Serge is, like, in his own values and ideas of how he engages on a person-to-person basis. I know how he feels about Armenia, and that's a complex situation. I mean, Armenia, for one, was a longtime ally of Russia, and we all have a certain feeling about Russia these days. So having that sort of allyship and engagement is its own sort of weird thing. They were brokering a certain deal where they would get a trade route from Iran through Armenia to Russia to create sort of a loose correspondence between Iran and Russia, and Armenia was going to assist with that. But then if you think about things like the Armenian genocide caused by the Turks, the invasion by Azerbaijan of the enclave, I forget the name of the enclave's name, but basically just complete devastation of that area, and Azerbaijan's further push to potentially claim trade routes to their enclave in Armenia. There's a lot of shit going on there that's complex, hard, a lot of combatants on both sides, a lot of war crimes on both sides. It's a really negative situation. I wish for peace in that area of the world, much like I do it almost everywhere in the world. I wish for peace almost everywhere. Maybe with one big exception, I don't necessarily wish for peace in Ukraine, because I think wishing for peace in Ukraine could be duplicitously seen as I wish that the Ukrainian Russians would just get what they wanted, which is to be absorbed into Russia. And I don't want that. I don't want Ukraine to lose land, because if Russia obtains more land, it's indicative that if you obtain a certain amount of nuclear enrichment and you wield that as a power over other people's heads, then they will refrain from slapping your wrists when you do something bad, because Russia tested the waters, the global waters, in Chechnya, in North Georgia, in Crimea, and again in East Ukraine, and only the last time did they really face a global pushback. So they did it 3 times completely unchecked. I don't need to see any concessions be given to Russia in this particular conflict. That's how I feel about that. Yeah, at some point we're gonna have to do a stream. Maybe not the next Wednesday, because I feel like next Wednesday is gonna be the lore stream, but maybe the Wednesday after that. Maybe we just do a help D fixes audio issues stream, and we'll just focus on that for a little while so that the stream audio can be nice. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's bad, but I apologize. It's ever since I got the Rodecaster. There are probably some default settings, filters, production effects being put on various channels that I don't know how to mess with at all. So it might be why some of the sounds are off where other ones are doing okay. Even if we do know buying something to spite them is a bad thing to do, there's some people who just wouldn't care and would do it. True, but I feel like those people should gain the social ramifications, and by gain I mean also maybe lose. The social ramifications should affect them in whatever way that they can. If everybody pulls together and decides we're all going to hate on this person or we're all going to love on this person based on their social strategies, I'm kind of okay with that. I kind of believe that that's a thing that needs to be understood, navigated. If you've built up an audience that is so endemically against your own ideology and they all leave or boycott you because you don't agree on a key matter, that was never your audience. You were borrowing their time until they learned that they weren't ideologically aligned with you. You may gain new people as a result. Like, oh, I really want to buy this game or this song, or I really want to support this group or whatever. You might find people who are very much in support of you at that point. Your audience will shift. That's not necessarily a full cancel. Yeah. Being aggressive, all you're doing is increasing the likelihood that people do things out of spite to oppose you, because many people are just like that. I disagree. I don't think most people act out of spite when they act. I think acting out of spite requires energy, and I would argue that the majority of people don't have the energy to do spiteful things all the time. If you really feel like you're being pushed in a very negative way, spite might be a response. But I think there's a threshold that you hit. We all have negative pushback that we receive throughout our day from people who are antagonistic to us for one reason or another. And we probably take and absorb a good amount of that until we hit a threshold. Past that threshold, lashing out in spite is fun. It's comfortable. It's something that we enjoy doing. It's almost like a sport. But I think we have an absorptive threshold before we get to that point. Yeah. It feels weird to me, but God, I'm so anti-Russia right now. I'm not anti-Russia. I'm just anti-Putin and his government. But every Russian I've ever met, everyone I've ever talked to, any Russian celebrity or content creator or anybody that I've ever engaged with, I don't disagree with the values that I've heard from them. I don't think they're endemically bad people or an entire country. that are led by ideologies that are negative. I do think many are the result of misinformation campaigns, especially the elderly. But I would also argue in almost every country, if you start to go past a certain age group, that the older people in any population are more prone to being convinced, especially by members of authority, that whatever those authority figures say is correct and accurate because they are authority figures. Well, you couldn't possibly be the leader of the military of this country. You couldn't possibly be the head clergy of my church. You couldn't possibly be a statesman unless you have attained some level of responsibility to the things that you say, that your message, the mouthpiece that you carry, is accurate, believable, and I need to follow you because you're the best resource for truth in my community. Older people feel this way. Older people fall for the fallacy of authority all the time. And one of the most positive things I'll say about millennials, and especially younger than millennials, is the fallacy of authority is losing traction swiftly. You've gotten you have a uniform, a station, a title. None of that matters. Are you a doctor? Do you have a doctorate? That doesn't matter. You could be some armchair person, but if you're spouting real truth that is verifiable and backable by double-blind, placebo-controlled, the best study possible, I don't care if you're some kid, wearing PJs, citing good sources, that's fine. And if you are in a lab coat and you have, I don't know, credentials, medals hung around your neck, diplomas all over the wall behind you, and you spout out some bullshit that has no viable resource or sources to back you up, I'm not going to believe shit. I don't care what your background is. The least among us, the least educated, the least accoladed of our society is still capable of committing a real truth that will help people out and citing good sources and giving us a good argument. And the most educated, or the highest accolades, or the richest or most adorned statesmen in our culture, those people can easily lie, come up with something that has no background. I'm not going to believe shit just because you've got some title or accolades to you. As soon as I said all of that, I finally read Legos's next comment, which is not anti-Russian people. Yes, I agree with both of those. Stuart says, when I think of someone getting canceled, I just get reminded of an ex-member of Rooster Teeth Achievement Hunter, Rooster Teeth / Achievement Hunter, fired for grooming and manipulating several female fans since 2017. Interesting. So that's a hard one, right? Those type of people, they produce a certain type of content, but when you're a live streamer in sort of like a comedy gaming sort of scenario, what you're known for is a lot harder to divorce away from the person itself. Being one of those members, a member of Rooster Teeth, is somebody who you watch for their personality, for their injection of who they are, how they think on the spot, how they engage and interact with other people. And when you find out something about what they're like outside of the edited videos that come up online, when you find out their non-curated life, it's hard to say, well, the stuff that you created is not necessarily you, so you can be a jerk and your content can be good. In that person's case, their content is them. It's them as a person, as a personality. So when you learn more facets of their personality, it's much harder to divorce the ways in which they might be very toxic, potentially very hazardous to other people's lives, from them like saying funny things. There are plenty of other that's the other part, is there are plenty of other funny people out there that are not that level of problematic. I think a lot of funny people also live problematic lives, but there's no need to necessarily stick with somebody who's particularly dangerous to the opposite sex when there are other people who could probably also make you laugh. Russia's citizens are getting hurt from all this too. I just can't stand what Putin and his cronies stand for right now. I fully agree. The idea that they need to obtain something that feels like they believe that the Soviet Union's borders need to be brought back again somehow. It's painful to hear and see. This is the guy, Ryan Haywood, was very entertaining and it was a real bummer. But there are other very entertaining people out there. I'm less concerned about that. I have to go do the sleep thing, but I appreciate the discourse as always. What I'd say for counterculture is I hate it when it gets thrown around too much. Like if I walk down the street and commit a bunch of violent acts and my friends all leave me, that's not being canceled. That's consequences. Yeah, so I would agree with that. I do think that the term canceling is maybe a negative spin on what we should honestly perceive as a positive social response. That social response can be taken out of control. You can get a bunch of reactionaries who do something with you. Like if I used my platform and said, hey, everybody, I want you to all with me to cancel this cookie brand because I don't know, I bit into one and it tasted, one of the nuts tasted burnt. And I think that's irresponsible, and the whole company should be canceled as a result. I don't even have to give you a reason. Maybe just my platform, because I'm charismatic. I'd just be like, you know what, guys? I don't even want to go into it. There's too much social trauma involved, and my PTSD is still like raging because of it. But I just need you all to like cancel this cookie brand, and then you all go do it. Like that's canceling, right? You didn't do it because of a real valid reason, but if all of you were around me at a meet, perhaps, I don't know if we'll ever do one of these, but if I find out other streamers do meets, I might want to set one up at some point. I think it could be fun. If we do a meet and then somebody comes and like beats the shit out of me, do I want you all to like rise up and beat the shit out of that person and protect me? Yeah, I don't think I would call that canceling. That's not quite the same thing at all, is it? It's not like you all went and got that person fired from their job. You just went and beat them up. Yeah. Typically, people with credentials are far more trustworthy overall. Are they? Are they? Look no further than the random farmers out there that are super into Trump and think climate change is fake, while the entire world of science would beg to differ. Oh, so you mean they appear more trustworthy, but they're not actually trustworthy. Yeah. Personalities are much harder to ignore what they do. Someone like Rowling is easy to ignore, but a content creator is really hard to ignore. Yeah, Rowling and her writing are not like a direct correlation. She didn't write about her life. She isn't like Jack Kerouac, where it's like, hey, when I was in my 20s, I did this road trip and it was really meaningful. Let me tell you about my story, right? She wrote about fictional things, and it even seemed like she was learning how to write while she was writing these books. So it felt very much like not related to her almost at all. It's just something that came through her. Whereas if she wrote about her life, that would be completely different. Did Oreo hurt you, D? Once, but it was my fault. Have you ever eaten an entire box of Oreos? Not the big boxes, just like a standard normal size box of Oreos, because I did once and it hurt, but that was my fault. It was entirely my fault. Can I do the beating? I don't know. Are you like that? I don't know anything about you. I know some, aren't you? I mean, have you only ever done VTubing? If you're into beating up people, I will let you beat somebody up if they beat me up. There's no baseball bat emoji. Why would they do that? There's a cricket emoji, right? Is that what you... Why can't I mouse over it? Every time I try to get the emoji that you've typed, it comes up with pin this message instead. Hate that. There's cricket, but there's no baseball, from what I understand. I did not feel good, but it was my choice. Yeah, I felt like I was going to die. There have only been a few days in my life where I thought, I may actually literally die today. And one of them was upon finishing an entire box of Oreos in one sitting. I won't bring that up in the lore stream, but it is also the day where I found out that what you see people do to force themselves to throw up on TV and movies doesn't actually work that great. For me, it didn't work that great. My gag reflex is very different than a lot of people's, and so I tried the whole finger down the throat to get the Oreos out, and it was not, it wasn't working like I wanted it to. It was a bad experience. It was a bad afternoon. I'll beat some balls. Welcome, Jam. Wait, what is that emoji? Why when I mouse over emoji does it not show me what the emoji is? It's tiny, so I was trying to hope that I would get a text thing. It's an iPhone emoji? Oh, okay. Interesting. I've never been able to do that, like sticking my finger down my throat. Oh, it's a cricket. Nice. Cricket, because we're talking about the game cricket. Gotcha. I'm caught up. My sickness, which last stream Kit was saying, like, oh, D is definitely mentally processing things a lot slower. I think my processing speed is reasonably quick today. It's, I mean, you could tell me otherwise whether my processing powers are good or not today, but I feel like all the physical mechanics of my body are still failing pretty badly. I did a lot of self-care on my voice today just so I could have a voice to do tonight's stream. And yes, I'll take the next 2 days off of using my voice dramatically, except where I have to in meetings at my day jobs. But yeah, the voice, coughing, and everything else has been pretty bad, but at least I'm mentally processing things at what I think is normal me speed. Pro tip, if you need to vomit, don't try your fingers. Just look at an image of my face. Legos. I should maybe actually get some sleep. I thought you were already gone like 10 minutes ago. Like I promised myself, have a good stream. Thanks for popping in. Thank you for providing your insights. I think you were maybe the most pro cancel culture, and so I appreciate that because a lot of people were saying opposite, and it's good to have good support on both sides so that everybody can hear sort of both points in an argument. Thank you for being here. Before I turn into someone else who does the same thing, what? As in you're gonna turn into like a pumpkin or something, but you're also gonna still fall asleep? Sleep well. Get out of here. I'll keep asking questions and I'll keep forcing you to stay on. Oh, someone else who also leaves and doesn't? Oh, like endangerment? Endangerment, are you still here even after you've long ago said that you were going to go to sleep? I swear, if you type like in any of my chats that you're still here, I'm going to make fun of you for staying even though you said you were going to sleep like, I don't know, an hour ago. In addition to counterculture conversation tonight, I'm also going to be doing a little bit of Final Fantasy 14 catching up. Hey, Kale, I am winning. I'm winning at 3 things. I'm winning at Final Fantasy because all of my friends and family and free company, that's a MMO guild to those of you that don't know Final Fantasy 14 specific speak, my free company, they have all progressed through almost all of the newest expansions content, and I am slow going, partly because Oz and I have an agreement that when we do the main story quests, Anon,
Ideas Maker just subscribed.
I will pause to let all this go through. Game Ideas Maker, congratulations. Who else do we got?
Mosey 311 just subscribed.
Mosey, all 311 of you. Congrats. Oh, excuse me.
Chaotic just subscribed.
Chaotic, we love him. Please go find his Twitch channel and sub, or just follow. Sorry, follow or sub or both. Chaotic is good bean.
Dora 8989 just subscribed.
Dora, all 8,989 of you. Welcome to your tier 1 sub. Last but not least,
Zion_Fury just subscribed.
Zion, hey, look who was summoned. The person I was just shouting extolling the benefits of finding. Yeah, we don't know who the anonymous person was. I have my suspicions, but I'm not going to say anything. But since you're here, let's go ahead and do a quick shout out for Chaotic and maybe pull up a really old clip that's going to feel really cringy.
Yeah, so you trying to stream snipe me right now? Get the fuck out of the way! God damn it! No, fuck up. You know what? I love you guys, but I could actually kill you both right now with my hands. Your hair is.
That was years ago.
Head is.
I was gonna say, it looks like
Go forward.
young Chaotic.
A little bit more. Go forward. No, like towards me. A little bit more. A little bit more. Yeah, that's the stuff.
Oh yeah.
See your maulers.
I used to love that about that game. Hey yo, we hit Hype Train level 2 just from that one little gift sub train. Thank you very much, Anon. I was so young and supple and not all dry. You're one of my favorite goblins. I hope everything's good in your world. Thanks for popping in. Yeah. So if you want to go see Supple Chaotic, you probably have to watch the clip show. But if you want to see Dry and Withered Chaotic, you can catch him live at twitch.tv/chaotic. All 4 of us are sick. The little is getting over her cough pretty well. The tiny had a bad fever last night, but tonight it seems like she's doing okay, so maybe she's done. Oz is just starting to get sick, and I'm on maybe about almost a week in. I finally got my voice back. I'm hoping that means that things will start to go away. The sick will start to go away, because right now I'm feeling better than I've felt in a while, and I still don't feel very good. Yeah. I don't like dry. I like moist. I appreciate that recently in this last week, this is just tooting my own horn, but I try to do this every once in a while so that I avoid imposter syndrome, so that I avoid being too self-deprecating. I know I can do a lot of that too much. So I'll say this, I'm recognizing that in the last couple weeks, or maybe even a month, that I've heard a number of very positive things. I find almost hard to believe, but I'm going to believe them today. I'm going to say I believe them today. I'm going to try to believe and observe them today. Somebody said, and Moist brought this up, curiously enough, I promise that there's a reason. Somebody said that the streamer Charlie, who goes by the handles Moist Critical, Dry Critical, he also goes by Penguins 0, that I seem to be of a professional quality and level and engagement and ability of the gift of gab to that very high level streamer and content creator. I appreciate that compliment. Somebody else said that they see strong pirate software vibes. Thor, the guy who used to work for the World of Warcraft team in Blizzard and has an amazing content creation platform now, that I felt on a level or a synergy of vibe and content to him That's a huge compliment. And somebody else said just a few days ago that out of everybody that they watched in all of the live streaming platforms that they watched live streamers, that they felt that I had the greatest chance of success at becoming a successful streamer, like for a business, like to actually raise a household and everything with that. Hearing all those things all together, it's incredibly meaningful. I am the type of guy, I think this is a meme these days, especially with men, that if somebody compliments you earlier in your life, you like carry that forever because you get so few compliments. Like somebody goes, oh, nice glasses, or like, hey, I really like that shirt, or like, oh yeah, I heard you singing in the recital, you sounded really I like your voice. You remember that like forever. You tell it like at Christmas dinner every year as a tradition. Like you make it part of your identity. You're like, well, yeah, I'm kind of a shit show. I'm like 3 badgers in a trench coat. But this one time, this girl said that I looked really cute with this outfit that I was wearing. And I'll never forget that. I'll tell it every day. So I just wanted to say I appreciate the positively positive feedback I've been hearing this last month. And it does inspire me. It does encourage me to keep going and try to grow this into something that I can feed children and pay for the roof over our house and the car payments and all that sort of stuff with. And I hope to continue to move toward that goal. And if I can make it to sustaining a household because of your encouragement, then I have immense thanks to grant you, and I'll probably bake you cookies or something, or I don't know, buy you a beer. I'll do what I can. I appreciate all the positive words and encouragement. I love you guys very much, and it means more to me than my Finnish demeanor can express with my facial expressions, because Finns are just known for having soft, subtle facial expressions. Oh, my house got swept by the same thing last month. It's horse shit. Swept? Oh, yeah, whatever's going on. I don't know. For ours, it's like a thinning of the throat. Oz was calling it croup. I had never heard of croup before a year or two ago. I didn't grow up knowing that word, so I had to do some internet research. I feel like we fit some of the symptoms, but not all of them. So I don't know if that's right, but I definitely felt like my throat thinned down to not like a pinhole, but like a straw. You know, it was thin. It was like hard to. I just sort of had to manually breathe for a while. You know, like those stupid TikToks or whatever, where they're like, you're aware of your unblinking right now. And you're like, fuck you. It was going to happen for like the next half hour now, thanks to you. I felt like somebody said that to me about my breathing, except for like a week. And if I didn't pay attention to my breathing, I'd start a coughing fit. But I couldn't cough very much because my throat hurt so much. It was so tender. So I'd cough like once. I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. It was bad. It was really bad. I say nothing positive ever. Not sure why you keep me around. I also need people to be as snarky and sarcastic as me, because if I'm just around positive people, I'll start to think you're all liars. I got a hype chest. Can I open that? What did I get? An emoji? I like this one. This one's cute. Look at this. It's like a Kirby dude. Mega consume. I wish it was actually Kirby, but probably Nintendo would sue and get it taken down. So it's just some kid with a Kirby mouth. As a man, getting and internalizing compliments is tough, but you do deserve them. Thanks, Chaotic. You too. You are so full of like good energy. I wish I could send you to the world and get more eyes on you. I don't know if that's what you want, but for some reason I want more people to know that you exist. Because you're like a good mix of degeneracy and wholesome. I should tell you that I am glad you're a good streamer, because I would still do my best to support you, but it would be way less enjoyable. Damn, no, that's good. I love that. I was saying this about Yeti the other day, because he started a metal band, and he's like, I remember when they first started Necrogasm, and I started listening to them. I don't listen to a lot of metal, but I do like some death metal. And so I listened to Yeti's band, and I was fully ready to say everything positive about it, no matter how they sounded. Even if the positive thing was like, you know, you guys sound like you have so much passion. I hear where you're going with the lyrics, and I see that you love what you're doing so much, and I hope that this brings you joy, and not say anything about like the actual music. That's what I was like braced to do. But thank God, like Necrogasm's actually like a good death metal band. So okay, you guys do good. And now I can say, you know, my friend Yeti does good death metal music, not listen to him out of pity. So it sounds like you're saying the same thing, which I appreciate. If that's the case, that the streams are actually have good content. We have good discourses on Wednesday. We pick good games. We do good things. We're engaging well. We're building a good community. We're growing as a business, which all of those things are true from metrics standpoint. But there's some soft components to that it's hard for me to say, am I engaging well? Are we having a good chat? Are we talking? Are we doing the goals of why I want to do live streaming in the first place? Beyond like, do I want to pay bills with live streaming? Like, what is my why behind making a channel and growing this business? Are we accomplishing those? And if all of that stuff is happening and you're enjoying this, and especially you, Stuart, who is, I think that you have like a wider breadth of knowledge of the streaming world than a lot of other people I know. You've been engaged in it for many seasons, so you know even like the older school streamers and content creators from back in the day. You can sort of compare metrics and metas as they've come along over the course of time. And I feel like you would be a much harsher critic, and hopefully that you would tell me if you'd be like, you know what, your show works, but here's this one part, here's this one thing I wish you didn't do that, or I wish you had this better, or God, if only you didn't, whatever. You would let me know if there were hurdles to my success, which I appreciate. So I'm glad that you can I feel like you can support me guilt-free. Hell yeah, I'll be the asshole. Nice, thank you. Chat, let's all point and laugh at Mr. Stremmer. Go for it. Give me your best shot. I haven't heard anybody really roast me in any way that I felt like I would take home and cry about. So if you can find something good to roast me about, you're more than welcome to. Bro, is that a Tugonma microphone? Oh, I see. Sorry, I mispronounced it, so I didn't do the joke justice. Tugonma, is that how it should be pronounced? Harry Ball Sonia, I love your name. You have the best name. Yes, it is that brand. So won't you tug on my microphone? I can't roast people for shit. I'm not a great roaster either. I'm one of those people that if you give me time, I'll come up with such great shit. So I'd probably be great at doing like Twitter flame wars, but I never got involved in that as a sport. But imagine facing me face to face and you come up with something really clever or hurtful, and then my gears start turning. I probably have to leave. This is like, you know, pre-internet times. I probably have to leave, go home, mull it over, write some things down on some scratch paper, toss several of them out, come up with something the next day, then share it with my friends, be like, do you think? And they'd be like, no, that's super cringe. I'd be like, oh, okay, never mind. Go home a second day, try it again, and then, you know, workshop it. And then I would come back and be like, oh yeah? And then that person who, you know, completely roasted me a couple days ago would be like, oh yeah, what? Dude, we're done talking. I roasted you and you walked away. That was the end. You can't come back now and try to say something. That joke though? Oh, the tug on my microphone. Whatever. I was 12 once. I used to tell jokes like that. Okay. I think I might have said everything I wanted to say about counterculture before I popped into Final Fantasy for the night and saw to some roulettes. Don't got to worry about eating the dogs and cats. They all just offed themselves after hearing that one. Wow. Was that a Haiti joke? Too soon. Too soon. What's it gonna do? I guess I was thinking if there was anything else I wanted to say in regards to the matter of cancel culture. I guess for me, really, I've never experienced a scenario in which I've learned something about someone that I've felt like I needed to shut them down and remove them from my life entirely as a big content creative or artist or musician or anything like that. Is anybody particularly famous? I have one scenario in my life where there is one family member. I'm trying not to do too much lore before the lore stream. So the lore stream is coming probably next Wednesday. If you guys keep up on this engagement speed that you're on, which has just been crazy. We only have 88 watch hours left. I don't know if you guys could really see that on the goal, but 88 watch hours is a remarkably small amount of watch hours. With 88 watch hours left, do I think that you guys could fulfill that in 1 week's time? Easy. Honestly, probably like 5 days max at the speed that you all have been engaging on the YouTube channel. I super appreciate your faces. You mean a lot in that regard. I hope that the idea is that if this engagement is a metric that also helps me place an algorithm, that after the goal's met, we won't see a big drop off because everybody just relaxes and calms down. It's like, oh, okay, D met his goal. We can all like relax and stop watching his YouTube content. But that I hope that means that we get placed in front of a lot more new people. We meet new folks that would find the show interesting or that they're tribal to the type of community that we want to build. And that we continue to grow at a pretty nice clip as a result of this push. That this push does more than just commit us to watch hours, but that it also helps grow the channel in discoverability. We'll see. I can't say that for sure. I'll keep an eye on the metrics and I'll let you know. I'll be transparent about everything. So far I have been with the whole business model. I want you all to know what it's like, especially if you're a content creator too. I want you to be able to learn from what I've learned. Because I think it's more real to hear about real metrics for somebody who's actually in the space of trying to have deep conversations, have deep connections, and build a strong community, as opposed to somebody telling you about things who just teaches. Nico and I were talking about this earlier today, that some people who are in the space of teaching how to become a content creator have only been in the in the education of content creation space for so long, they don't actually have good numbers or good understanding of what it means to run a business that's something other than content creation, something other than education and content creation. So they only know that if you want to become a streamer or VOD creator that also teaches how to be a content creator, then they can teach you about those metrics, but they can't teach you about any other type of content creator metrics because they don't do that. They teach, right? I don't know anybody who is successful and also runs a teaching channel. Just throwing that out there. If you know somebody, let me know, but I don't know anybody who does both. We only have 88 watch hours left, and that will be finished. That would be pretty cool. Once that's done, we'll see where the metrics go after that. Man, this area looks so weird from the air. I love how this area looks from the air. It's so cool. It really puts things into real perspective as far as like what the zone is and what it serves. When you're in it, you can kind of forget a little bit. But when you're above it, It gives the space context. How much longer do you got on the Layers of Fear DLC? So we're pretty far in the director story. The director story is the last story. It's got its own progress bar, I guess you could say. The director's making 5 reels of film. We've finished, I think, 4 of them, and then the game crashed the whole stream crashed, right? That's what happened on Sundays. Everything crashed, and I just noped out because I was feeling so sick anyway. So I think we finished the final film. We do maybe one last epilogue chapter, and then we're done with Layers of Fear. Then I want to quit it like ASAP, because Lycos and I both believe that part of the crash problem is due to a memory leak in that game. The game has so many other ways in which it's not finished that for it to also have a memory leak is not conspiratorial thinking. I think it makes perfect sense. There are so many, like the voice acting doesn't even include signatures at the end in most of the readings. Some of the voices done by some of the voice actors sound really amateur, like they were Fiverr voice actors or something like that, or maybe even free. I don't know. There are weird rendering issues with character models that they should have QA'd for. There are parts that you can kind of get into that maybe you shouldn't be able to walk to. It's just there are a lot of problems with the game. It's been released for a year. They should have had time to patch or come back and fix these things as bugs, but maybe the people who are playing the game aren't submitting bug reports. I don't know. But yeah, we finished the director part probably on Saturday, probably early in the stream, maybe in the first half hour or so, and then we'll move on to Alan Wake. So consider Saturday's stream an Alan Wake stream. It's just not going to start right at the very beginning of the stream, but we will probably majority be playing Alan Wake by Saturday. Oh, you don't have flying in the zone yet? Yeah, it's nice. It's real nice. Hoping I didn't miss the beginning of Alan Wake. Dude, working. You let me know when you're off. Maybe I'll what's the word I'm looking for? Work to make time happen. Stretch for time. I think I have a thing dying here. Oh, I lost my chat. Oh, I lost everything. Are you still here? Seeing a bunch of things freezing on my screen. But if y'all can still hear me, if y'all can still hear me, type in YouTube chat. Because I think that one I can still receive your info. Everything else looks like it's freezing on me. You can hear me? Okay, cool. Stream hasn't completely died. Although it looks like a whole bunch of stuff's resetting. Oh no.